So what's up, everybody? This is Chef Omar Perene from Ask Ark, and today, again, one of my most favorite people in the whole wide world, Gary Turner.
Hello, everybody. Hey, Omar.
What's up, handsome?
It's so good to see you.
Good to see you. Thank you for coming to my wonderful corner of downtown Houston.
I love it here.
Hey, man, today we're talking hospitality, and we're talking about hospitality, and especially the one of the most important pieces, the people one. Gary, I have known you for a few years now, and all I know is that you are an expert in getting the right people in the right restaurants. But before we go into the restaurant and recruiting, and I know that's what your business does, but I wanted to ask you, how's your day going?
My day going? It's wonderful. I just got back from vacation and ready to hit it.
That's awesome. So, I know you're the owner of HProSearch. I'm going to act here like I don't know anything about you. So can you tell us a little bit about what your company is and for how long have you been doing this?
Well, when I was 16, I worked at a Baskin & Robbins, and then I worked at a McDonald's. And then I'm not sure what happened for a few years. Went to college and then started with Ruby Tuesdays as a manager back in the 70s, and just stayed in the industry through today. Actually, I was with the Hard Rock Cafe for a while. I actually helped run the first Trulux here in Houston.
That would be what, 1993?
Two or three. Yeah.
That's cool. I was a year away from existing. Oh, that's awesome. Good old times.
Now I feel old. And then a friend of mine had some restaurants in Hawaii, and he invited me over for 45 days, and I stayed a year. And helped him work on Gene Gunn, help him with his 4 restaurants. And then...
what were you doing in those restaurants?
He wanted to do tableside service in some of them, so I was helping him roll that out.
Like the French style stuff? Like
more like Olive Garden, the salads and the breads and the things like that.
I love that, man. I'm a sucker for tableside service. I love that.
It was really cool. We did it because we were using the monkey pod bowls, and it was in Hawaii. It was, and the people appreciated it. Then a friend of mine in Mobile, Alabama called and said, "I'm buying a restaurant on Dolphin Island on the beach, and I want you to come be a partner and run it." So I did that. First hurricane, we were okay. Second hurricane, Third hurricane. I said, I am out.
No more tiki bar for me.
So I went back to Hawaii just to visit with a friend of mine, and my mentor and friend Gene. We just started talking, and he goes, of all the years that we worked together, he thought one of my biggest qualities was identifying, vetting, and hiring management.
Interesting.
And but I was doing it for myself.
That's a tremendous skill to have in the restaurant. Well, pretty much in any industry.
It's as much gut as it is, going with your gut is usually works out the best. But I came back to Houston, and there was a gentleman that wanted to sell his recruiting company. So I bought it with another guy. I ended up breaking off and starting HProSearch in 2000.
What was the name of that company?
Restaurant Recruiters of America.
Wow, cool.
Bill Troth.
There's a side of the industry that people don't know, like the consultants or the recruiters. You don't really know these things exist until you have a restaurant and your general manager walks out.
On a Saturday night.
On a Saturday night, right? And that's why it's so important to have companies like yours. So that's how it started, and how do you guys do it?
Well, it's relationships. I mean, I've been doing it for 21 years. I was in the restaurant business, so I speak the language and I understand. A client will call me up and he'll say, "This is my restaurant and this is what I need." And I usually can understand the profile just because I've been doing it so long. We have 10 recruiters working with us now. We have 5 in Houston and 5 in Dallas. 4 in Dallas, 1 in Austin. And most of our business is Texas.
Right.
But we do, like, work in Martha's Vineyard now. We do a lot along the border, Laredo and McAllen.
Well, I'm going to need your help with some project in McAllen. I'll tell you after we're not recording anymore.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm doing some searches for the Delgados.
You want to broaden the search for sure.
That's a tough market.
I know.
That's a very tough market, that whole Laredo, that whole border area down there. But again, to go back to your question, how do we do it? It used to take us about 26 days to what we call close a deal, which means from the time we find a candidate till he's hired. And
Right.
in today's climate and with what's happened over the last couple of years, it's about 45 days now.
Right.
So, what I tell people, you're going to open a restaurant, it used to be hire your general manager 90 days out. I would go 120 to, you're going to have to carry him a little longer, but you're going to have a general manager to open your restaurant.
That is true. Yeah, I can't tell you how many times we're struggling to find a general manager 2 weeks before opening, which is the worst nightmare.
Oh, because the guy doesn't know anything.
Right.
He's going to walk in. I mean, he knows how to be a general manager, but he doesn't know.
Hopefully, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we're pretty good on that. But the climate has, Texas especially, and the southern states are moving into their dining season, I call it, from like March until it's too hot to sit outside, which is May. But, so a lot of people are hiring right now. And it is a tough market, but again, we go back to our relationships from people that we've known for 10 years. And say, what are you doing? Or do you know anyone? It's all referrals.
I'm glad you said that because there's two sides. The way I see it in the recruiting world, there's the side that services the restaurant owner that's, again, kind of running last minute, trying to put together the restaurant or their next location, and they really need that manager, that chef, that AGM or sous chef. And that's definitely one side of the story. There's also, that same person who loses a manager, like we said, in the middle of a shift on a Saturday. And that's a great, I guess, lead for HProSearch or someone that you guys can really save their life, so to speak. But then there's also the candidate side, which I find it just as fascinating, if not even more, because you guys are able to help and represent a lot of people that, let me just say, being or having a career or developing a career is not as simple, right? A lot of times people, like especially chefs, they focus heavily in their craft, and they're not good at articulating a lot of things, their thoughts, sending out emails, writing out their resume, and having a team of people that know you, know your values, know the things that you're good at, and they're watching out for opportunities for you. Because I can't tell you how many times, this has happened to me too, that someone comes and applies and you're like, oh, we'll call you right back. And you never call him back.
Never hear from him.
It's awful. And so it's
Or nowadays you go, I like this guy. I'm going to put him over here and think about it.
And put him in this file.
What? He's gone.
He's gone. Right.
Yeah. Somebody else came along and hired him. I mean, if you like somebody, go through the process. You can always say no, but if it's somebody that you just don't want to regret not talking to everybody. And my rule of thumb is always interview.
Always interview.
You should always, from both sides too, candidates. It's longevity and tenure is really important, for a candidate to get a job. But most candidates, like when I was doing this, or when I was a manager, and I got mad, and I went home, I had to take white out of the typewriter and type my resume.
No, that's funny.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way it was back in the day. Now you go home, you push a button, and 1 million people see your resume.
See your resume.
Yeah. So it's a lot easier, and the key is both sides staying professional through the process.
I agree that there's a lot more information, and definitely the channels of distribution are just so much more available, but also there's more noise, just like resumes of that don't matter, and there's a lot of clutter, I guess, and when you're looking for hiring people. So I would say, and you do have to go through that definitely when you're hiring all your staff and hourly, and you want your management team to do that for you, or at least, take the lead on it. But when it comes to finding the right management, I definitely think it's good to have a team that not only is looking for the skills, they know what kind of personality they're looking for, because this is a personality kind of also match, right? Like, I feel like if you're hiring a general manager or chef, that's a person that you're going to love and hate. And you better be confident with the decision of loving and hating that person when you make that hire, right?
Well, when the owner goes home at night and puts his head down on his pillow, he wants to know that he can trust who's watching out for his investment.
100%.
And that's the key. But and you bring up a good point. The interview process, yes, there's always a formal interview where you've got the guy's resume in front of you and you're verifying the information on the resume. It's a screening. And then you decide, I like this guy. I like where he's been. You've got his references. You'll do his background check. But then, to me, it's what you said. Would I want this guy to come over to my grandmother's for Thanksgiving dinner?
Maybe not.
Or maybe. So the next deal is let's go have lunch. And then you sit there and you have lunch with the guy, and the manager, and you see their social graces and how they are with the other waitresses and how they observe the restaurant, and you just get to know the guy. I mean, one interview and a hire usually will backfire, but you like you said, you want to know if you like this person.
Yeah, if you get stuck in an airport or something, you want to make sure you don't want to chew your own arm.
Yeah. Yeah. You want to know that he's got your back,
So let's talk a little bit about management, because I know management has a huge impact in the restaurant. And we always talk about, or at least I love saying that restaurant starts and ends in ownership. I firmly believe that you can have a great people put together, but if the ownership, doesn't want to create that culture, maintain certain culture, the staff or the team just won't make it happen. That's my belief. But also right after that, well, yes, starts and ends in ownership, but you do need, the right team, especially when it comes to management. So it's hard, man, to find a good chef, to find a good general manager. Not so much finding the person that is good, finding someone who's going to take ownership of your business, someone who's going to have that sense of ownership. And give us a little words of advice here. And for restaurant owners, the ones that are already established, that are expanding, and they're just looking for people that can trust and treat as partners. So what type of environments do we need to be creating for, to attract this type of people?
Every restaurant and restaurant company has a culture.
Yeah.
And they might not set out to say, this is going to be my culture, but the leader, the owner, whoever is going to create a culture. Some of them are good cultures, some of them are not so good cultures, but it is a culture. And to me, when you're interviewing or talking to that lead that's going to be the lead when the owner's not there, that guy needs to buy into your culture and needs to relay what he think you would say to the staff. Then as he brings on his disciples, like he goes to where he used to work and he recruits his friends that he knew, because they know how he manages. That's the ideal situation, to have a group of people that all think in the same direction.
Right. It's especially nowadays with them millennials that, they want to have that, sense of being part of something bigger than themselves. And the pay is just not it, or it's not enough anymore. And we'll talk about wages in a second, because I know that's also a big deal right now. But you have to make sure that they know why they're doing things, and they want to feel special, and they want to make sure that they're part of an organization and that they're making meaningful changes and stuff like that. So now culture, I think it's more important than ever before. I think I saw an ad somewhere on Instagram that said 96% of people think company culture is important. What the heck is the other 4% thinking?
Well, they have a culture whether they know it or not.
Right.
They just might not know how to identify it. Again, what I like about the millennials is they do challenge. They do question, why are we doing it like this? Which I think you should know why you're doing. Why do we set the tables like this? Well, because, for whatever reason. But I do like that, that they challenge, they ask questions, they want to know.
And it's funny, we blame millennials. I'm a millennial, I suppose. And we are only a result of the previous generations, right? So something must have been working or not working from the previous generation.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, I don't remember. I'm a baby boomer, so and I don't even know what that means.
So,
Go ahead.
oh, I was sorry. I was gonna say, when I interview chefs, I was gonna tell you I normally like to bring him into a test kitchen. Do you recommend that people do that when they're looking to hire back of the house management? I do the traditional interview, and we've worked and we will continue to work in trillions of projects together. Knock on wood here. I like to get chefs in the kitchen. I find that that's a really interesting exercise to just say, oh, sure, you want to apply for a job, just come in and just cook me something.
That's become a big part of the interview process, the stage, I believe they call it, where, and some of them,
Get uncomfortable.
some of them have a mystery box.
Uh-huh.
I have a client, and they set it up, and they set it in front of the chef.
Oh, that's brutal. I love it.
It is brutal.
Ooh.
And then they have a panel, and the guy it's just like Chopped on the Food Network. He opens it up, and he looks at what he's got, and he goes and prepares a meal.
I like the gamification component of this.
Yes.
I normally do it a little easier.
Then the other ones, they say, go buy what you want to cook. We'll
Right, we'll
reimburse you. And then come meet me at the test kitchen at 2 o'clock on Friday. And then I'd like for you to cook an appetizer, an entree, and a dessert.
Right. I normally tell them, go in the walk-in cooler. I like to see I want to see someone's prudence, I want to see how hardworking someone is, or if there's someone that cuts corners. So I actually just let them go in the walk-in cooler, and I'm like, grab whatever you want that you think you should grab and make me something that you think is amazing. And sometimes that's a quesadilla, and
Right.
I'm like, whoa, that's very basic right there. But if that's all that's fine.
Right.
And sometimes I have people that grab all the prep stuff that we made in the restaurant, and not to hire that person, like grabs this short rib and your sauce and your everything. You're like, yo,
Yeah, and heat it up.
you just heated it up. That's not fair. Oh, these
Yeah.
are all good things to do.
Yeah, well, you're not looking. You are looking for the final results of their meal. Is it edible?
Right.
And plate presentation is very important.
You want to know if they care.
And then just their mise en place, and how they work, and are they clean?
How are their hands?
Yeah, are they clean? Do they wash their hands?
Does
Are
their
they?
chef coat dirty? Ooh, chefs, don't get nervous. Now, let's talk about GMs. And I know you guys recruit for a lot more categories and positions, but would you agree those are the two biggest ones?
Chefs and general managers.
Chefs and general
and assistant general managers, assistant managers.
Right. So on the general manager, that's also a hard one, because that's someone that basically it's supposed to have just the same prudence and vision, and at least follow the same as an owner. So it's in place of an owner somehow, and it's really hard to find this person. So what would you recommend to operators that are looking for that unicorn general manager? What to look for?
Unicorn. That's a good descriptor there. A purple unicorn is even better. A lot of people, a lot of owners finally woke up, and for someone to leave a position to go to another position, they're just not going to make a lateral move just to go operate a restaurant and another
Right.
restaurant. And is it money? Yeah, it could be money. Is it the culture? Yeah, most likely. Is it golden handcuffs? I've got one client that if a general manager stays for 5 years, they have a program called 512. And it's if the general manager's in good standing for 5 years, he gets, after the end of 5 years, he gets 1 year's salary.
Oh, wow.
On top of his salary.
Dang.
And then he gets 28 days off.
That's smart.
Paid.
I love that.
So that you're going to have one for at least 5 years.
Right.
A GM for 5 years. Others,
Even I would stay.
there's signing bonuses. They'll break them up, but they get an initial signing bonus, and then in 30 days or 90 days, they get the rest of the signing bonus. And that's throwing money at people, and people moving around is natural, and it's going to happen. The key is retention.
Right.
You train the guy, you spend all the money, you share your culture with him, you share your books with him, and then 90 days later he goes somewhere else.
He goes somewhere else.
Yeah, and then
it's
you got to start all over, and that affects your guests and it affects your staff because now they got to learn a new leader.
Well, yeah, and also affects the morale of the team. Gary, I feel like we can talk about hiring and recruiting and also training, which we didn't even touch on training. But I want to ask you a few questions about yourself, and also I want to ask you about ARC. But so first of all, I wanted to ask you, would you tell me 3 people that influence you, your life, the 3 people that have influenced you the most, and why? And we can do this very short or long. It's up to you.
Well, I would say Gene Gunn. He hired me when I was a wayward child, put me in, I wanted to be a bartender. He says, nope, you're going to be a manager.
I love that.
And he pretty much stayed with me to this day. He lives in North Carolina, but we stayed real close, and he taught me a lot of things to do and a lot of things not to do. The second one, believe it or not, is John Lennon.
I love that.
Yeah, just because of just his, not just his songs, but I read a lot of his works and a lot of his poems. And he was just one of those guys that if he was still alive, I think our country, our world would be a better place. And then the third, of course, is my mother. And she was just a wonderful lady and supported everything I did and told me that when I was doing something wrong, that I'm doing something wrong.
Gary, you're talking to your 18-year-old self. What would you tell him?
Straighten up.
Straight. Get your shit together.
You're headed down the wrong road.
That's so awesome.
And the one thing that always, as you reflect back at 18 and all that deal, is you look at what relationships were you in, not boy-girl relationships, but your friends.
Yeah, the friends, yeah.
Your
Which
friends.
define you 100%.
Exactly, and that's, and
Look at me, I'm doing awesome here.
I'm not a huge Facebook, but I tell you what, it's people that I would have never talked to or thought about again as long as I live, and there they pop up on Facebook, and then we, start a dialogue.
Right.
Did you, what did you ever do? Are you still married? And things like that. And I think relationships, it relates in a personal life, which you're asking about, but it's also in your professional life. It's very key, and especially in the hospitality industry, your relationship with your staff, your relationship with your management, and your relationship with your customer is very key. I mean, there's nothing that someone feels better about when you walk in and the manager goes, "Hey, Mr. Johnson, how are you?"
That's good. That's money. You're looking for the $100 bill right away.
Exactly. Well, he's with a friend. They go, "They know you here?" Yes, they know me here.
There, of course. Man, that's funny.
Yeah.
Gary, well, we're super happy to have you, man, at ARC. And ARC, it's a group of different companies, and we're all, basically working towards the same, which is helping restaurant owners succeed and like I say, helping make the world a more delicious and prosperous place. And what made you join ARC? And why do you think ARC is important?
Well, first of all, you.
Thank you.
And but the people that I've met and talked to, I call it, in my world, it's a value added. So when I'm speaking with a client and he says, I know mean managers, but I just really need an accounting company. Well, I happen to know someone, or my kitchen's a mess. I need to have somebody come in and redo my kitchen. I think I know someone. And it makes you, it's a value added service that I add when I'm talking to a client. You're not, and it's not like call these 3 people. No, this is a person I've eaten lunch with several times, and I know them and I know their business, and I do recommend them.
Yeah, we're friends.
Exactly. I'd like you to meet a friend and associate of mine. Boom. And I will, do an introduction via email or phone, or let's go meet this friend of mine. He needs your help.
It is a wonderful setup, and first of all, it's really nice to have you guys as friends, as mentors, in so many ways. But also, it's cool for us to be able to share, the process, because people don't know that there's a group of people, again, that works kind of behind the scenes and helping make the restaurants happen.
Right.
People only know, the general managers or the chefs, but it takes a village. It takes a lot of people. And ARC and Ask ARC is basically just that. We wanted to be able to share with everyone our process. And if you wanted to know, who are the players, at least here in Houston and in Texas, and know their faces, and if you want to, ask them any questions, just put something in this comment section below, or shoot us a message on Instagram, and you can go arc-hospitality.com, and you can find some more about everyone else.
Yeah, I think we meet once a month as a group, but that's just so everybody can see each other. But I talk to everybody in the group weekly.
Yeah. Same.
And just, what have you got going on? Hey, I've got a client that needs this. Can you call them, or can I introduce you? And again, it adds importance to your relationship with your clients.
Gary, you've been wonderful, man. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. It was a great day, especially down here next to the juice box.
Love you, man. See you next time.
Bye-bye, everybody.